All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to another Limbus Company video. Today we're going to be using Solemn Lament Yi Sang after he got a pretty significant glow up with the new Walpurgis. He's the one that got the E.G.O, which I'm gonna be honest here. It definitely did get a little overshadowed by the Dawn Office identities, and particularly with how much Sinclair himself gets buffed by the other Dawn Office identities. But Yi Sang himself, he's not that bad, especially with the new E.G.O, because the new E.G.O does give him quite a lot to actually work with. Also, we are dead here. Very cool. So, Solemn Lament's E.G.O, the buffs it provides are very significant, because effectively what it does is it gives him an anti-stagger as well as extra bullets, an extra 10 bullets, which is significant because his skill 3 in particular, the amount of damage it deals is dependent on how much ammo he spends with it. So the more ammo he has, the higher DPS he can deal. Also, we're dead again. Very cool. It's because he's fatal to lust damage. Honestly, let's just use the E.G.O. I don't want to because it's literally the first fight in the game, but like, Yi Sang is fatal to lust damage, and that's kind of making this impossible because he's fatal to lust damage and blunt damage here, so just gotta use the E.G.O immediately. But it is a very strong E.G.O because, like I said, it does give him the anti-stagger as well as extra bullets, so his skill 3 does even more damage. But the most interesting thing it does is it also turns him into a discard identity. Because whenever he reloads, he discards a skill. Every skill except for his skill 3. Which means that he can very easily cycle his skills and get them. He just keeps getting his skill 3s and he can spam them very easily with this E.G.O. And every time he uses his skill 3 too, he also reloads, which then in turn triggers a discard. So yes, this E.G.O is pretty significant. Gives him anti-stagger, better skill cycling. And I can't believe we failed that skill check, but okay. And the final thing that the E.G.O actually does, and this is the only thing that it does without actually needing you to use the E.G.O first, is that it also allows Yi Sang to inflict Tremor. Just naturally, he can inflict Tremor. And so that's very significant for the Tremor syncing identities, because I believe there is currently 5 of them in the game, if I'm not mistaken, if you include Solemn Lament Yi Sang. Technically 7 if you also want to include Spice Bush Yi Sang and what's he called? Sunshower Heathcliff. They are also technically syncing Tremor identities, but like Spice Bush is self Tremor and Sunshower, he basically only has a single Tremor burst. Unlucky. Very unlucky. This is another fight that's going to be annoying. All because we just can't use the E.G.O right off rip. Honestly, I think we need to just keep resetting until we get good skills like this one. This is the only real scary one here. So, as long as they don't roll too many heads, I think we should be fine. Because that one skill use right there allows us to use the E.G.O in the next turn. And we started with Grey Coat. So as long as we get to use the E.G.O, then we heal back to full, basically. And then we also get the anti-stagger, so... nothing to worry about as long as we can use the E.G.O. Well, I say that, but then we just get staggered instantly. And unfortunately, the E.G.O passive isn't active yet, so we don't get the anti-stagger after using it. You need to use it one turn before you get staggered. Honestly, it might be better to just corrode the E.G.O. Because corroding the E.G.O means that it is no longer unfocused volley, and if it's not unfocused volley, that means more healing. And better damage. So it's more likely to stagger all of them and heal back more health. Yeah, much better. Now we're at full health. Just because of a Corrodin. The only downside to doing that is that, yes, we corrode again, and being able to fuel it for the next fight is going to be a problem. To say the least. So, maybe it's not the best idea to accept this fight. Like, we need to use 5 skill 1s to be able to get it back up. 5 skill 1s, 5 skill 2s, and then 1 skill 1. Technically, we don't need to use 5 skill 2s. We could just do defense skills, but... So, yeah. We need to be a little bit careful here, I think. It's just that we will end up corroding again, so... I don't know. I don't think I can take this. If we corrode naturally, it would be better, but I don't think we can corrode naturally is the problem. At least not without dying before the corrosion happens.
이것 봐. 환상체를 제압하는 건 우리만으로 충분하잖아.
대상의 상태가 안 좋은 것 같아. 이걸 잘
Okay, I think we're in an
좋은 결과로 이어질 수 있을
all
거야.
right position right now. It's not perfect by any means, but it's acceptable.
나아가주게. 편히 쉬시게. 적확한 한압이었어.
나는 할 일 없는 세월 동안 그들의 관을 지키며 저승에도 못 갈 이들을 위한 봉헌을 한단다. 그건
Do we
내가
corrode
하는
here?
일들 중 하나지.
Possibly.
나아가주게.
Have to risk it though.
편히 쉬시게.
If we do corrode, that's an instant reset.
칼날이 잘 드네요.
Just cannot take that. We don't have enough ego resources currently to accept it. Fortunately, we don't corrode this turn,
있잖아. 사실
and we clash with everything, so I think we are good to go.
너희만 괜찮다면 혹시 우리를 도와서
나아가주게.
아니야. 그건 선택의 순간이 필요하니까. 내가
해체에게
정할 순
치명적인
없겠네.
손상을 입히는 데 성공했습니다.
아쉽다.
앞으로의 전투도 이대로만 부탁드리겠습니다.
잠든
Starting the mirror dungeon is always the hardest when you don't actually start with things like
조금만 더 힘내자.
Blue Zippo lighter.
개체의 제압
Like if we had
남지 않았어.
any ego resource generating gift, this fight wouldn't be nearly as difficult.
나아가주게.
It's not even that it's difficult, it's just that it's tricky to beat this fight while also maintaining enough ego resources to be able to
잠든 그대를
easily beat the next subsequent fights as well.
너희들의
It's a balancing act.
이 정도면
저 어둡고
지켜볼
악한
가치가
아르카나들을
있겠지.
뒤흔들었어. 이대로면 승리도 시간 문제겠지?
죽음 충동 억제. 관념 봉인.
And I think we have managed to pull it off.
그대들의 면면이 밝고 생기롭군.
Unlucky that these guys, we got 3 of the blunt pride skill, so that is a reset right there.
아무도 남아있지 않아.
승리
그래.
때 뭔가 기분 좋은 일이라.
Only one this time. If the ego corrodes into them, which it doesn't, very cool game.
직원들이
If we get hit by that, that's basically an instant stagger. And like I said, you don't get the anti-stagger from the ego until the turn after you use it.
그때는 인정사항이
So-
있어야 할 테니까.
Unacceptable. This has a chance to stagger her, the one using the pride skill, so worth using it. Giving it a go.
초종 부고를 전하겠어. 이 처참한 포화. 허접이 그대를 화장할지니.
He staggered somebody.
그 후로
Is it the correct one though? I don't think so.
해체에게 치명적인 손상을 입히는 데 성공했습니다. 앞으로의 전투도
Yeah.
이대로만 부탁드리겠습니다.
And as you can see, like I said, the anti-stagger doesn't activate until the turn after you use it, so if it did activate the turn you did use it, then it would be a lot better. We are corroding here. I don't want to do that.
아르카나를 처리하지 못한 나는 쓸모없는 존재야. 아니,
This is a much better turn. Wow.
나아가주.
Literally just a free turn.
내가 나섰더라면
This is why sometimes you just need a reset. Because you can just end up getting very lucky. I guess technically speaking, I probably should have used the ego there to get the anti-stagger, but oh well.
그만큼 탁월하다는 뜻도 된다는 점을 명심해주면 좋겠어.
It's not really oh well. That was a very big mistake on my part.
나아가주게.
But it works out.
조정. 원의 일정과 원의 일정이 후어져봐야. 마침내 집사는
The corrosion is definitely much stronger in these fights simply because it's not unfocused volley.
저 어둡고 악한 아르카나를
Unfocused volley is unreliable,
이기면 승리도
and that's what makes it so
나아가주게.
useless for our purposes here.
잠든 그대를 기릴 잠든 그대를
제압 개츠에게 큰 피해를 준 것 같아. 교육팀의 직원다운 완벽한 공격이었어.
나아가주게.
At least the rest of the fight is going to go very smoothly.
올바른 방법으로 개체에게 일격을 가할 뿐. 이것이 바로 정보의 힘.
잠든 그대를 기릴 테니. 그대 또한 잠들게.
개체들의 체력이 많이 깎여 나갔어. 괴로워하는 게 느껴지지 않아? 이 대세로 계속 나아가보자.
잠든 그대를 기릴 테니.
악당 패치 성공! 오늘도 정말 멋진 활약이었어. 내일도 꼭 불러주기야. 세상이 평화로워지는 건 기쁜 거야. 근데 내일도 지금처럼
And let's see if we can find anything useful. Lithograph, that's good. And blue Zippo lighter, excellent. Now we don't have to worry about managing our ego resources nearly as much. And then Desperado. I think this still works even if you don't have deployed identities. I could be wrong, and it's basically a waste of my time to even bring it in, and it would have been better to just start with blue Zippo lighter in the first place, but
죽음 충동
we'll see.
억제. 관념 봉인.
We'll see.
느껴졌어?
And in fact, it does activate even if you don't have any of the characters deployed, so Yi Sang is now incredibly powerful. I should always start by using the E.G.O turn 1 though.
제압 개체가 비틀거리는 게 보이네?
It's just it is very stupid to just not use it turn 1 instantly.
나아가주게.
Because we definitely need the passive active.
조정.
I think we corrode here.
원의 일정과 원의 일정이 후어져봐야. 마침내 집사는 원을 안식케 하리라.
Maybe not. That did a lot of damage.
적확한 한압이었소.
But now we do.
직원다운 완벽한 공격이었어.
방금 전에는 굉장했다고. 베르의 그 인간도 이건 인정할걸?
조정. 원의 일정과 원의 일정이 후어져봐야. 마침내 집사는 원을 안식케 하리라.
엄청난 공격이었어. 기념할 만한걸?
Honestly, I don't even know what Desperado even does. Obviously, it does damage to them. Let's read it. On use of skill that gains or spends ammo, gain haste and offense level. Skills used, gain clash power, damage up. Extra damage. If an unaffected unit is out of ammo, gain 4 ammo. And Desperado. Gives extra coin power, clash power. If the affected identity did not spend ammo, apply 1 additional Desperado. Very cool. Deal total sum of Desperado and all allies times 3 pierce damage to 1 random enemy. That's what's activating there at the end. I was curious.
방금 멋졌어. 너희들의
It's not going to be doing a whole lot, honestly,
저 어둡고 악한
because we almost are never going to be activating the
그러면
bottom at 2 stack with the extra coin power and stuff. And then the extra damage that the Desperado does at the end of the turn. It's like an extra 5 damage or something because there's only 1 identity on the field. So it's like, it is a good E.G.O gift even when you are using only 1 identity deployed on the field, but it's substantially weaker with only 1 identity. You want to be using it in a full team, basically.
훌륭하구나.
In any case, one thing that I am definitely a little surprised about is how long it has taken to get a sinking tremor type.
조금만 더 힘내자.
I mean, like I said before, there are currently 5 identities that are sinking tremor identities, but not a single one of them has a sinking tremor type.
개체에게 치명적인 손상을 입히는 데 성공했습니다.
It's definitely going to be coming pretty soon, if I have to guess. Just because we basically have a full team of sinking and tremor identities at this point, so we're just waiting for that sinking tremor type to really skyrocket its potential. It's gonna work just like Tremor Scorch, probably. Maybe it'll even be a little weaker since sinking already has the ability to
취약한 마음과 자아의
do
수가
damage on its own.
누군가가 만든 자아의 껍데기 속에 의존하고 숨고 싶은 법이라지만
But then again, against characters like
그럼에도 재밌는
the
구경이
butlers, ones that have sanity, you kind of need Butterfly from Solemn Lament Yi Sang,
방금 어떻게
because it's the only
깜짝 놀랐어요.
part about sinking that actually allows you to do damage to enemies with sanity. Him or Spice Bush with his Sinking Deluge, but I think personally Butterfly is stronger than Sinking Deluge simply because
계속 나아가 보자.
it's a permanent effect. It's not a burst damage type effect like Sinking Deluge where it only activates like once a turn. It's an effect that remains permanent for basically the entire match. And more importantly, it does the damage for every single coin that hits, as opposed to only once at the end of Spice Bush Yi Sang's skill 3.
있는 힘껏 찔러놓고
So personally, I feel like it just has a higher damage potential, even though it is significantly weaker in the terms of how much damage it actually deals in comparison.
이 얼마나 완벽하기 그지없는 나만의 지옥인가.
And now we take the mana-shaped music box, so we don't have to use the E.G.O. if we don't want to. Also, gotta take this for puncture memory. Of course, I'm still going to be using the E.G.O, but it's just like the music box is more so there as just like a fail-safe in case I do end up getting staggered on the first turn.
있어야 할 놈들까지 눈을
Using the E.G.O here is actually a bad thing because it makes him fatal to gluttony damage, so I'm not going to do that. Not unless I have to, anyways.
그대들의 면면이 밝고 생기롭군. 나아가주게.
It is nice that Solemn Lament Yi Sang got a bit of a buff with this Walpurgis. Simply because he is an identity that is kind of necessary for syncing. Obviously, you don't need him. Like I said before, Spice Bushy Song is an alternative choice. But you do need one of them if you are doing syncing, simply because without one of them, you have no way to damage enemies that have sanity. And that's the biggest weakness of syncing, in my opinion, is fighting enemies with sanity, because it does make clashing incredibly easy, but it doesn't aid your DPS any. And that's why you need either Spice Bush or Solemn Lament, just so your syncing can actually do damage into those enemies.
나아가주게.
적들이 충분히 나약해졌다는 거지. 끝을 내도 될 것 같아. 엄청난 공격이었어. 기념할 만한걸? 방금 공격.
잠든
다음에
그대를
다른 대책으로 다시 해봐줄래? 나라도 그랬을 거야. 다른 직원에게도 도움이 될지도 몰라.
나아가주게. 그대 또한 잠들게. 잠든 그대를 잠든 그대를 기릴 테니.
그래. 이 정도면
Nice, red order. Extra offense level, very cool. And phlebotomy pack. More healing, don't really need it with Grey Coat, but it's always nice. Extra skill 3, very nice. And nothing else really.
죽음 충동 억제.
And here we fight the gnomes, which are not that difficult, all things considered. Well, not all things considered, they just aren't difficult, period. One thing I did forget about when it comes to this E.G.O that it also does is it somewhat negates the sanity drain that Yi Sang experiences when he does end up reloading. Because normally when he reloads, he loses like 15 sanity, but it counteracts that at least a little bit by always restoring 10 sanity whenever he reloads.
그대 또한 잠들게. 편히 쉬시게.
So he can just stay at max sanity a lot easier than he would otherwise, which is definitely very nice.
나아가주게. 잠든 그대를 기릴 테니.
제압 개체 하나를 처리했습니다.
나아가주게.
남은 개체들도 같은 기세로 처리해 보시게.
Unfortunately, our butterfly isn't actually doing anything, because the one thing that Yi Sang definitely struggles with is actually building a sinking stack himself. He's not very good at that. All skills of his, except for his skill 1, is count negative, and it relies on winning clashes in order for him to actually build up a sinking stack.
다르게 되었구나.
So he's good for damage, but not very good for actually maintaining and building the sinking stack in the first place.
내일도 꼭 불러주기야.
Which I suppose is kind of acceptable for how we've been playing this Mirror Dungeon run so far, because I've been leaning more into the bullet aspect of it instead of the sinking aspect. So, like, we have only 2 sinking E.G.O gifts in the Manor Shape music box and the Red Order right now, and neither of those help him build a sinking stack at all.
세상이 평화로워지는 건 기쁜
Blue
거야.
Star Shard, very nice. And then the mental corruption boosting gas. The leaked Enkafallen. This is very nice for characters like Solemn Lament Yi Sang because it allows him to compensate for his lack of sinking count application. And then rest is very nice to just deal more damage. What else can we get? Illusory Hunt, very nice. And Skeletal Crumbs, also nice. Angel's Cut, useful. And that's about it. We're still not particularly good at building a sinking stack, but we're better than we were before, thanks to the leaked Enkafallen. And for this fight in particular, using the E.G.O is actually a pretty bad thing, all things considered. And that's because it does make us fatal to envy damage, which is the only damage that these guys are capable of dealing. In fact, if it wasn't for the Mana Shape Music Box giving us the anti-stagger on turn 1, I would not even think about using this E.G.O in this fight until later on when I could actually avoid most of the damage. Because yes, as you can see, they just deleted half our health bar like it was nothing.
다른 사람들이랑 똑같았던 거야? 이러면 내가 무슨 쓸모?
Unfortunate we didn't stagger that other guy there. Could have avoided taking any damage at all in this fight if we did, but at least at this point we do have the anti-stagger from the E.G.O itself active, so even if they do manage to get one over on us, we got that sitting in the back, waiting to save our asses. At this point, though, we've basically won the fight because these guys are fatal to sloth damage, which means Yi Sang's skill 3 literally just deletes them off the face of the earth. So the only actual challenging part of this fight is, in fact, the first turn. But once you get past that, even if you do make it easier for yourself by not using the E.G.O, these guys just, they don't put up much of a fight, honestly. And because Yi Sang just constantly keeps discarding his skills 2 whenever he reloads, and his skill 3 always reloads, he's just constantly cycling more and more skill 3s, so it's almost impossible for him not to win these. Like, it'd be kind of surprising if he did manage to not kill this boss in a single turn. Depending on how many skill 3s we have, at least. If they were all skill 3s, guaranteed, he could very easily beat this boss, no problem, in one turn. He still probably might be able to. It'd be close if he can. I don't know. I think it minimum 2 turns here. I just don't believe that he can do 2,500 damage with 5 skills. Maybe he can. I think it would be like a few hundred damage short, though. Like I said, if he got just like one more skill 3, easily could. But maybe the stagger will do it. I should have more faith in him, honestly. He's very strong with this new ego.
오늘도 정말 멋진 활약이었어.
Makes sense he'd be able to do that one turn.
꼭 불러주기야. 세상이 평화로워지는 건 기쁜 거야. 근데 내일도
It's just when I do guess how much damage a character does, I never really take into account the stagger bar, honestly. And thus, they always end up doing more damage than I predict. We got puncture memory again as a reward. That's crazy. Not taking that floor, though. Because we're on a theme here. And that theme demands that we do all of the Walpurgis fights. Trauma Shield is nice to have against the Knight of Despair. And we do get the Knight's Blessing.
억압 작업이 성공했어.
Which I'm not sure how useful that is. I don't remember if the last Walpurgis fight has blunt damage or not. Oh, another skill 3. Very cool. Now Yi Sang's discard abilities are almost guaranteed to constantly give him skill 3s no matter what. A certain philosophy, very cool. Thank you, game, for that 1% chance. Wasting my ego gifts on garbage. Ugh. So lame. So lame. Why couldn't you just give it to me? I guess we can't have it now. Oh well. We got the wrong book.
죽음 충동 억제. 관념 봉인.
Honestly, certain philosophy is the worst, like, EX ego gift. I know there's only like 2 of them. But even still, it's definitely the worst. Because it effectively eats your ego resources. Not ego resources, your ego gifts. And for what? Like, it doesn't even give you very much benefit, since you still need a... The only thing it really does is it makes it so you sometimes are capable of consuming less ego gifts to fuse things that you want, but most of the time it's like you're still fusing the same amount of ego resources anyway, so why does it matter? It's just a pity prize that's it. It's just a pity prize. Anything else would have been better than it, honestly. Like, literally, any tier 4 ego gift there would have been better than that. Because at least they are used for something. All of the fragments, they're used to fuse. Lunar Memory. Same with all of the other ones. I guess the only things that would have been actually useless are like the slash and blunt non-memory ego gifts. You know, the Book of Vengeance and the what's the slash one? I don't remember right now, but basically, those are the only ones that would actually be useless, so... If we got anything other than them, technically speaking, it's more useful than the certain philosophy. I also just... I completely forgot to use the E.G.O in this fight. I was too busy
개체에게 치명적인 일격을 가해
talking about a certain philosophy that I just completely spaced on it.
정의보다도 푸른 자여, 사랑보다 붉은 자여.
나아가 주게. 조종 부고를 전하겠소. 이 처참한 보화, 호접이 그대를 화장할지니.
Because of how well we were doing, though, it's like using this E.G.O here, not necessary. Obviously, it's the theme of the video, so it is necessary, but even still, it does have a little bit of benefit with the fact that it is resistant to gloom damage, and so using it means that we are taking less damage in this fight. But the very fact that we haven't gotten staggered yet speaks volume as to how unnecessary it is. And currently, the leaked Enkafallen E.G.O gift is the only thing that is currently really maintaining the sinking stack on the Night of Despair right now. Without that, there would be no sinking stack, basically.
나아가 주게. 편히 쉬시게. 편히 쉬시게. 편히 쉬시게.
Nice. And we got the Night of Despair down to the 600 health threshold before we even broke all of our swords.
편히 쉬시게. 잠든 그대를
개체들의 세력이 많이
Impressive, to say the least.
괴로워하는 게 느껴지지 않아? 이 기세로 계속 나아가보자.
Still need to hit her at least once, though,
우리 앞을 막는 증오스러운 존재들에게
to guarantee it.
나와 그대의 힘을 합쳐 위대한 철학의 힘을 보여.
Well, that's the game.
방금 전에는 굉장했다고.
나아가 주게.
아카나 레이.
Thank you, Queenie. Good work as always.
당신 그래도 자 악당 배치 성공. 오늘도 정말 멋진 활약이었어. 세상이 평화로워지는 건 기쁜 거야. 근데 내일도
And we take the sword sharpened by tears and melted spring. Very nice. And the midwinter nightmare. Excellent. That basically guarantees the fact that we can maintain a permanent sinking stack. Not that this last floor is going to be any good for maintaining sinking stacks with how many enemies there are on it.
관념 봉인.
The still warm coffee. What does this do? After using an attack, heal 5 SP. Then if you're at max HP and is a lobotomy corp, gain 1 plus coin power. Ooh, that's nice. Thank you, Hesed. Alright, let's see. Could get another skill 1 to a skill 3. So why not? And then after that, I don't think there's anything really that good. We basically already have everything that could be considered good here. Oops, that's not what I wanted to upgrade. I thought I was selecting this. The ornamental horseshoe, not the pendant. Upgrading the pendant to tier 2 with only a single identity is literally pointless, because all it does is give its effect to 2 identities as opposed to 1. I mean, see, this is the problem with the certain philosophy. It's like, you want a tier 4 ego gift, you still gotta shill out 3 as opposed to 2. It's just not worth it. It's not good. It's not very good. It's bad. The main gimmick of this boss is that you kind of have to hit him with skills that consume ammo, otherwise he keeps all of his unbreakable coins. So it's very nice that we are using an identity that spends ammo. Of course, it is still better to be an identity that has an evade. Also, I don't know why I didn't use the E.G.O right there. Because obviously the whole point of this video is to use the E.G.O, but also because we are fatal to less damage. And so using it would turn off the less damage, and we would have been at, like, we would have twice the amount of health we have currently. Not that it really matters. Grey Coat's gonna bring it up. Bring it all the way back up. Well, mostly all the way back up. We might be screwed because of that misplay, honestly. Yeah, the bleed damage is doing a number on us.
조용해졌구나.
I just completely forgot that we were fatal to less damage for some reason.
그래. 마지막 숨이 넘어가고 나는 건 이런 고역뿐이겠지.
스페셜한 기운이 느껴져. 면밀히 짚어보고 나아가는 게 어떤가 오만. 조정 부고를 전하겠어. 이 처참한 포화.
This time, it will be a lot better of a fight. Because we're taking half damage from all the attacks. Of course, the bleed is still a problem. But because we have more health, that means that Grey Coat will be able to have an easier time compensating. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to just use the E.G.O again, honestly. Use it again for both the Grey Coat healing and to deal with the smaller bugs. If we get lucky with the targeting, anyways. Well, we dealt with one of them at least, so better than none, I suppose.
방금 공격 다음에 다른 개체에게도 다시 해봐줄래? 영상으로 남기면 다른 직원에게도 도움이 될지도 몰라. 방금 전에는 굉장했다고.
나아가주게. 그대뿐 잠들게.
대성공이야.
I'm pretty sure the skill 2 is only really capable of killing the small bugs if it ends up critting. Which is unfortunate because critting is not the most reliable thing for us. What with how we don't even have half of the critting E.G.O gifts like Emerald Elytra. But just like the other floors, the first turn is usually the most difficult.
잠든 그대를 기릴 테니
And as long as you manage your health properly,
사랑의 힘이, 빛의 힘이.
편히 쉬시게.
어둡고 악한 아르카나들이
the rest isn't very much harder.
들으면 더 승리도 시간 문제겠지? 그래 다시기 됐네.
편히 쉬시게.
완벽한 한방. 시원한 걸.
편히 쉬시게. 잠든 그대를 기릴 테니
훌륭하구나.
We are definitely struggling to maintain enough skills to be able to deal with all of these bugs, though. I guess I could use the ego again. Why not, right? It's the main focus of the video.
나아가죠.
It's the only way we can actually end up dealing with all of the bong bongs on this turn if we use the ego, so. And I do want the extra plus coin power from the coffee.
정보를 전하.
And if we don't kill all of the bugs this turn, then we won't get that plus coin power, because you need to be at full health to get it.
그대를 화장할지니.
Hopefully it staggered that last bug. I don't know if it did.
올바른 방법으로 개체에게 일격을 가했더니 이것이 바로 정보의 힘입니다.
It's nice that we didn't stagger the big one there, because that means... Actually, no, never mind. Desperado's gonna end up staggering it for us. But if Desperado wasn't there, then that would mean that we would be able to win a clash against it the next turn, and that means more sinking count. Which means that
마법 소녀들은
actually being able to maintain the...
너희만 괜찮다면 혹시
나
우리를 도와?
maintain the sinking stack is
아니야.
reliable. Because we're probably gonna kill it here.
방금 어떻게 하신 거죠?
Unless the Leak Deck of Fallen walks in, which it did.
아쉽다. 그치?
적확한 하나되었소.
The more sinking you have, the more likely it is to activate and give you extra sinking. Although I think it only has a limit of like 3, so we do end up killing the sinking stack, but we also kill the enemy at the same time, so it doesn't really matter.
나아가죠.
And now we just win rate spam.
편히 쉬시게. 잠든 그대를 기릴 테니
에리도베르 다나미노우드마데스.
E.G.O's discard plus the fact that we got rid of all of our skill 1s means that it's almost guaranteed for him to have
이것 봐.
skill 3s in all of his skill slots.
충분하잖아.
쉬시게. 잠든 그대를 기릴 테니 편히 쉬시게. 잠든 그대를 기릴 테니
칼날이 잘 드네요. 아마 그 공격이 약점이었겠죠?
잠든 그대를 기릴 테니 편히 쉬시게. 잠든 그대를 기릴 테니
제약 개체에게 큰 피해를 준 것. 방금 전에는 굉장했다고.
And the final
이건 인정할걸?
bug. Pretty easy to deal with.
편히 쉬시게.
Like with most fights, the first half is the only actual challenging part. And most of that boiled down to just the fact that we started the fight fatal to less damage, but use the ego once and that turns it off.
편히 쉬시게.
Greycoat's definitely the MVP, like always. Best ego gift in the game. Bar none.
편히 쉬시게.
But yeah,
그대를
E.G.O's a new ego. Very strong, makes him
그래.
a lot more reliable.
이 정도면
And it's
지켜볼
just
가치가
all around
있겠지.
very good.
한자루는 죽었던 한자에 대한 축하를, 한자루는 목숨에 묶여 살아갈 자에 대한 엄숙한 애도를. 장례는 이상으로 끝내겠소.
And that's how I beat Mirror Dungeon 7 hard using only Solemn Lament Yi Sang. He's still very good, mostly because of the fact that he's almost required in a sinking team, just because you need either him or Spice Bush in order to actually deal damage to enemies that have Sanity with sinking. But even if that wasn't the case, he'd still be a very strong, very reliable identity. His clash power is good. He's got an anti-stagger. He's got an anti-stagger now with his E.G.O. Discard also, which is probably the most interesting thing about him, is the fact that he is a discard identity now. And all around, he's just our heavy weapons guy. Anyway, that's it for me. Like and subscribe for more videos like this one. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.